Assalamualaikum and greetings. So in these video sessions, we will talk about Lab 3A, one of the detailed design patterns, which is the factory method. And factory method is under the one of the design pattern, creational design pattern. See how can we understand the factory methods and how the implementation of this detailed design. So the intent of factory method is to define an interface for creating an object, but let the subclasses decide which class to instantiate. Okay, so inside this factory method, it will declare a interface, which it will become the interface of the subclasses, which all the implementations on the subclasses. And the factory methods lets a class defer instantiation to the subclasses, as I mentioned just now. So why do we need to do factory methods? First, framework use abstract classes to define and maintain the relationship between the objects. In this case, all the features and libraries. So the framework has to create object as well. Must instantiate classes, but only know about the abstract classes, which it cannot instantiate. Okay, and factory method encapsulate knowledge of which subclass to create. Move this knowledge out of the framework scope. So we will see this motivation more, and you can understand the motivation more as we go through the examples. So for example, we have this structure of factory that I think inside your slide also have mentioned this. So you see, this is a structure of a factory. If you see here, the factory method is happening in the interface of the product and the subclasses of product A and product B, for example. Okay, so in order for us to access this factory method, we create another class called creator in order to call upon the factory methods in order to get the product A and product B. And the client will link to the creator and actually request for the actions or call upon the operations on which specific product A or product B, and then the creator will decide which product will be called instead of the interface or the client itself. So we just call upon the creator, but the order or which one to be called based on this condition is up to the creator class here. Okay, so the participants here is the iProduct, the interface for the product A and product B, the classes that implements the iProduct, and then the creator that provides the factory method itself, and the factory method decides which class to instantiate, and it happens on the creator because creator actually provide the factory method. So let's see the implementation of these factory methods in a lab exercise called avocado sourcing. Okay, so in this should be you should do this example first, and after you have done, I will correct it. But then to cut it short, I will directly discuss the answer, the solution of this exercise. So let's just go through it, and hopefully you can understand on the factory method. Here we have the example avocado sourcing. So write a simple program to apply factory method in the avocado sourcing. Each of the avocados producing countries has a class, and they all implement iProduct so that they can ship avocados to the buyers. Depending on the month, write the factory method that will choose to supply either product A, avocados from South Africa, or product B, avocados from Spain. There is also a third option, a deferred product, which is selected when avocados are not available, in this case in month 3, for example. And the code skeleton, I will show it later in the video. Okay, so this is the code skeleton, and with the solutions I already provided. So let's discuss about this. I will provide this solution inside the e-learning, don't worry. You just check on the file of lab 3A solution. Okay, so first we have the class of factory patterns, and as I mentioned to you, the factory patterns have all the classes, the interface of the each subclasses, and then the specific subclasses of product A and product B means the implementations, the difference which implementation to be applied. Okay, and both of these subclasses have 3M because just now it has another default product, which is the return not available, for example. Okay, and all these three classes, product A, product B, and the default product subclasses implements the interface in iProduct, which will be interact with the class factory pattern. And then inside the class creator, it actually implements the factory pattern classes, which will determine, if you see here, this is the part where it actually um, determine which implementation to be used. Okay, so for example, just now, as we know that there are certain months to be implemented on the product A, there are certain months on product B, and if not, then it will return the new default. So it's been set up here. Okay, by the and all those functionality will be passed through the interface iProduct of the factory method. Okay, and then so here is your client code. Okay, your safety board main. So you need to declare your class creator that which implement the factory method, and then you need to use the iProduct product interface, and then you call upon the all the functionalities happens during the inside the iProduct using the factory method creator. Okay, instantiation isn't of a C of the creator. Okay, and then how we going to test out whether we actually successful to obtain the implementation of product A, product B, and product C, we just write a console right line, avocados product shipment from. So where means that if we reach until product A, then it will return from South America. If we reach class product B, it will prompt out the return from Spanish. So the output should be like this. Okay, and this is the sequence of which, like for example, from Spain means it approach the product B class subclasses implementation. So means that this sequence being determined in your class creator, which implements the factory method. So it somehow separate the implementation and the sequence which product to be accessed based on the conditions has been set up by the factory method class. Okay, so that's for the lab 3A. So later we will focusing on lab 3B, which will focus on the observer pattern. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum.